guys, this is RC Peck with Fearless Wealth, and the question is cash really king? So what I want to do is change that question around a little bit, right? And say, should you always pull over when you're driving, right? So if you are in New York and you want to get to Seattle, and every day the world is blaring at you, there's a storm coming, there's an earthquake coming, there's a tornado coming, there's a whatever coming, there's a natural disaster coming. Like, you're being scared with weather reports. Okay. And every time you get scared, you pull over. Now, going to cash is king, is that equivalent. Like, I don't know what's going on. I'm scared. I have to go to cash. I got to go to cash. I just have to protect my money. Is cash really king? Is pulling over off the highway really the best thing to do every time your phone or your Facebook feed or your news feed or whatever feeds are feeding you, your pick of the month, are scaring you with the next apocalyptic tornado coming, right? And I think this is a very similar parallel because people are getting scared into cash, right? They're not going to cash because it's part of some systematized rule-based system. Now, one thing we do know about cash is that cash currencies, all the major currencies on the planet, they depreciate a little bit each year, about 3%. So the US dollar on average loses about 3% of its purchasing power on average every year. So you definitely don't want to be in cash for longer periods of time, right? So I'm dissecting and breaking down this question kind of in two parts. Is cash king? Well, it is king when the market's in turmoil. And the market in turmoil looks like something that happens after the market is down 20%. Any market correction or movement or gyration between negative 1% and negative 19.5%, that's all noise. And so going to cash when something is noisy is like pulling your car over while you drive across the country because someone sitting next to you is yelling, the tornado's coming. But you can look out, you can look out the windshield and you can see it's blue skies. But the person keeps yelling at you, there's a tornado coming, there's a hurricane coming, there's a thunderstorm coming, there's a hailstorm coming, right? Now, you don't necessarily know how to actually look out at the weather. I'm using this as a metaphor, but when you get trained to actually look at the market and someone scares you, right, you can just actually look at the market and go, it's kind of blue skies. So is cash really king? The answer is not very often. Not very often. Most of the time, the market is what I call in green light mode. It's in green light mode about 80% of the time. Another 15-ish% of the time, it's in what's called yellow mode, which is just be cautious. The world is not ending, but maybe take one step out. One of the things I do with my training clients is I train them to never go 100% in and 100% out. Because one of the things with, it's not really, is cash really king? It's, is the behavior that got you into cash really king, right? Because it's the behavior that grows your money. And it's the strategy. The behavior and the strategy are the same thing. So if the strategy and the behavior is every time I'm scared from that person next to me yelling at me, and that person next to you guys obviously is the Pick of the Month newsletter, the Facebook feeds, the Instagrams, all those social platforms, money channels that they have figured out, you will stay around and click more if they can scare you. Right? They didn't start that way, but they figured out with their algorithms, a scared reader, a terrified reader, an anxious reader will buy more. So they learn that. So their job is to scare the hell out of you. And I understand when humans get scared, they go, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. I have to protect what I have. And you go to cash. But that is a reaction. That's someone who's driving the car with their eyes closed, and all they do is they hear the person yelling at them that the tornado is here, the hurricane is here. And they weren't taught to kind of look out the windshield or look out the side of the windows and go, it's actually blue skies. So is cash really king? Most of the time, it's not. Actually, rarely is cash king, right? There's only 5 asset classes. And if you consider bonds and cash the same, which is called fixed income, there's only 4 asset classes: stocks, fixed income, commodities, and real estate. Here's the thing, guys. Money is always flowing to one of those more than the others, right? These 4 are always in some sort of order, right? And when you have stocks first, and it doesn't matter what second, the world is in a more stable place. It's when you have commodities in first place, or real estate in first place, or bonds in first place, that things get really scary. So the only time cash is king is when there really is a storm. Now think about this over the last 21 years, right? So let's call that about, I'm just going to round here. I know how many months are in a year, but let's just say about 250 months, the last 250 months. Think about this. The dot-com crash was 30 months from peak to trough. The global financial crisis was 18 months peak to trough. 18 plus 30 is 48. And the COVID 2020 was 1 month. So that's 49 months, right? So 49 months out of 250. Now, that was just the peak to trough, right? So I'm just showing this from a time point of view. So that in that very specific example, that's 20% of the time the market is in this, oh my gosh, things are not going well. I train my clients to look at it slightly differently so they can get out sooner. But the point is, even using that metric on time, out of the last 250 months, only 50 have been in a true drawdown of something that is more than 20%. So is cash king? I think, again, the questions are, see, you keep saying is cash king. I get it, but I really want you to get this. The better question is, what's the strategy that put me to cash? And what's the strategy to get me out of cash? If it's listening to or watching news channels or reading newsletters or listening to stories, then people are going to more likely get scared into cash over and over again. And the older we get, okay, so the older investors get, right, 50, 60, 70, 80, even going from 30 to 40 to 50, the older investors get, the worse they become at investing because their earnings runway, they know after the age of 50, their earnings runway is going to go away. And so they actually become worse investors. They don't have to, but because their earnings runway is going away, they get more scared easily. And this has everything to do with, is cash really king? Because a 60-year-old who just retired is much more likely to go to cash than, say, a 48-year-old who's in the same market, same economy, same income, everything. But because their circumstances are different, the one investor is going to be more likely to be scared by the, the temple's going to get pulled down on us. So is cash really king? The answer is most of the time, actually no. And at best, cash is king only 20% of the time. But even then, you want to step out and confirm that cash is really king. And the big takeaway is strategy is king, behavior is king. That's actually what defines the growth of your money, not the symbol you own at the asset, but the strategy that has you in the right asset or the right symbol. Thanks, guys. Again, this is RC Peck, and this is just another step in helping you protect and grow your money. Thanks, guys. And if you like this, please go ahead and subscribe and leave a comment. I read all comments. I love them, and I will reply to those too. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you on the next video. Hey guys, if you like this, you're going to love the 3 mistakes video because it shows you exactly what mistake you are making if you don't have the growth and income you want. Go ahead and click and I'll show you immediately.